What's up, internet? Welcome to the Act 4 video for the totem leveling series. Just before we get started, I want to point out every video, basically, this is not meant to be like a racing, it's not even remotely a fast guide, actually. This is more of a Let's Plays for new players who want a video guide to leveling a totem character because they have never done so before. We're going to be we do all the side quests. I'm doing a lot of talking about what I'm thinking. We're not doing a lot of edits or any edits really. So if you're an experienced PoE player, this is definitely not the video for you. But we left off in Act 4. We had a couple of goals, right? We want to find a new helmet because we didn't even do anything with our helmet. And we actually do have a 4-link bone circlet. I technically can't afford this right now because I don't have... It's kind of annoying. I wish I had that. Let me see if I can afford this if I sell things. Not really. Transmutes are 7 portal scrolls though. It's okay. We don't need our portal scrolls that much. We definitely want this guy. So our wave of conviction for now, we can just take the fire pen gem. That can go in there. All of our damage is fire. And at some point we'll get like an essence or an alchemy and we'll slap that and make this a less bad item. We also could use a new amulet. This is terrible. But we don't really need the dex right now either, so the mana regen's probably fine. We can also quickly check for some 4-link gloves. I didn't see any. No. Okay. We'll get rid of that. Spend our first point here. Let's also go and replace a couple of crafts. I think we wanted to put life here, which we don't have the alterations for. We don't quite have the alterations for. Alright, so be it. So we're looking for alchemies so we can make a new wand. And we're looking for alchemies or essences to improve our couple pieces of gear. We want some currency to craft with. And we want a flask. We want to find a decent flask so we can craft staunching onto it. We want that roughly like before we get to Malachi, the boss of this. So there's a lot of enemies that apply bleed there, and if we don't have a bleed flask, it's kind of an annoying zone. As are red beasts, for that matter. Yellow beast, no big deal. What we're looking for in this zone is this book icon. There's going to be Vol next to it. He's got like a charge attack and like an AoE slam, so just pay attention and don't be underneath the AoE slam or the charge, because it does a lot of damage. Hey, we got an amulet. And a 2-link helmet. It's not really what I'm after. What about this? Life and lightning res and fire damage. I mean, sure. I'll give up a little bit of mana regen for that. I think there's a crafting recipe, yeah, here. Don't forget to grab that. Get rid of that. We still want to look for gloves. And I don't think we want a colossal, do we? I think we got the next tier of flask instead of a colossal. Don't have an orb of regret or scouring. So, we'll move on. This triggers Nico. I'm not even gonna mess with Nico in the campaign. I never do. I'm definitely not the guy for Delve. Pick up another quick recovery node. The only thing we're doing here is trying to find crystal veins level 2. Should be a named enemy up here. Here he is. I don't remember this guy's name. Pick Revet or something. He doesn't live very long. This guy is very speedy and very cowardly. As always, sticking to the general theory of going the other way. Whatever's the opposite way, the way you came in, that's generally where you're going. And for the most part, you can just kind of drop your totems as you go. You don't need to do a lot of standing and fighting. Now, in the mines level 2, there is a side quest that we want to do. We didn't actually pick up the quest while we were there. I mean, who wants to talk to Tsui anyway? That guy sucks. But we do need to find Deshret's spirit while we're here. That's where the skill point. So we'll definitely do that. And that's usually just at one of the like extreme ends of the zone. So following a wall is usually a pretty decent idea. Like it is in a lot of zones. If you're not following a road, you're probably following a wall. Apparently this guy's ghosted. Now we don't want to go into the crystal veins. We didn't find Deshret, so she's probably here somewhere. There she is. All we gotta do is click her. I forgot this little named guy here. So, crystal veins. Much like the other two floors, except there's a waypoint here. And it's the most important waypoint in the whole story. Because if you skip this waypoint on accident, and you go to Kaom's realm, you'll be very sad. So you always want to make sure to get the waypoint. There's another hideout if you want to grab a excavated hideout. Definitely grab this rare wand. Projectile speed, spell damage, and cold dispels. We're probably gonna want to use that. Hopefully, we can use one of our jewelers. That worked out pretty well. We don't even technically need to try and link it. But we're probably gonna want to have it linked soon. Maybe? Maybe we'll leave it like that for now. This should be, even though it's cold damage, the spell damage and the projectile speed should be enough to make this worth equipping. You can always just check. At this point in the game, you can definitely check by your tooltips. So these are both 11 to 20. This one has cast speed, so we take from this one, which is currently 1222, and now it's 1378. So between that and the mana and the cast speed, that's a pretty decent find. And upgrading all of our stuff is a much larger upgrade than that. And we can get quick recovery. All in all, pretty good. You'll notice that even though we're using pretty large chunks of mana on our 4 links, we want this Sacred Life Flask. We're not really having any mana issues, right? I haven't hit my mana flask in like ever since Act 2, I think, or like the end of Act 1 or something. This waypoint, this is the waypoint you have to get. Don't forget this one. And somewhere over here, I forget where. There's a crafting recipe in this room somewhere. Here it is. Don't forget that too. So we can go back to town really quick and talk to Tasuni. Not that I like doing that, but it does give you a skill point. So worth putting up with. And we're still not ready for Ancestral Bond or Mind Over Matter at this point. So we're going to go ahead and start heading this way towards more life and stuff. We did get this Sacred Life Flask. Unfortunately, it got 2 affixes. We'll go ahead and wear this one here. Oh, we got a 10. I didn't even notice what card that was. That's a 10 Orb of Alteration card. Sick. We're definitely doing that. So with those alts, we can throw some extra life on all our gear. So we were meaning to do that here. We would like to just get an alchemy or something for that. I think this has a prefix. This is open prefix, but it already has life. I think we would just do tier 1 mana, but I don't have the recipe for it. Or I don't have the augments for it. This is completely full, so that doesn't get anything. This is prefix and suffix. My life total is pretty bad still though, so I feel like I would be better served with life. And that's all we're gonna get right now. We're doing okay on our resist, but we still want to find like probably an upgrade on the gloves and hopefully like an essence or something, or a alchemy for the helmet, to make sure that we don't get like resist cracked when we get into Act 6, basically. We don't really actually need any more links at the moment. We need an alchemy, so we need a regret orb or something. I guess we can see if this has, it says remove poison. So, onward we go. So for this part, we gotta go into both of these portals. She'll tell you she wants the Eye of Fury and the Eye of Desire. So you can pick whichever one you want to do first. I usually do Chaos Stream first for whatever reason. Both of these zones are, in my opinion, like obnoxiously long. But you know, it is what it is. Each of them is 2 parts, basically, followed by a boss fight. There's like no trials. There's actually no trials from now until after Act 5, that I recall. So you don't have to think about that for a while. We can go ahead and upgrade our mana flask, even though we're probably getting to the point where we're going to think about dropping that mana flask altogether. We're still just thinking about life resists, new wands, and getting a bleed flask. So we're getting close to fighting Malachi. We'd really like to have a bleed flask. Yeah, there's a big pile of unique totems here just before you leave the level. Nothing notable though. Even in our mediocre gear, that guy's pretty much pushover. To be honest, we're getting to the point where that's going to be the story for most of the rest of the campaign. I would say that it's really after Act 5 where everything kind of snowballs. And especially once we get our second lab done, things get sort of out of control and you can kind of just face roll the rest of the campaign with this build. But pretty soon here, after we get access to multi-totem, things really do start to accelerate because we can take Ancestral Bond and focus completely on totems. So that's coming up pretty shortly. And I feel like about from then on, things are going to be a lot of face roll. Did grab the waypoint, so... One thing to note, you cannot ever like jump these walls for some reason. These elevation changes, I've never seen a way to like even teleport up there. That is where we're going. It's just unfortunately there's no good shortcut. I think we took a wrong turn here. Here is the boss, who surprisingly we're going to drop totems and curse him and flame wall him and then run in a circle. Now because we picked up our ascendancy, we don't need to replace our totems nearly as often. So basically most boss fights you're going to drop your totems, you're going to flame wall, curse, you know, run around and wave of conviction, and then flame wall is going to drop off and you're going to replace it. And then around the second time the flame wall dies, our totems will run out of duration. Like they're still up, right? They have quite a long duration now. So you kind of want to get used to doing at least 2 sets of flame wall before you need to resummon. Unless you have to reposition your totems, right? So that's one of those gems down. We can grab another point here. Probably sell a couple things here. We did get an Orb of Alchemy. The question is, do we want to use it on the ring and make a wand? Or do we want to use it on this? The fact that our helmet is actually white is sort of sickening me. It says cold res and an open suffix. It's actually pretty good. Because the first recipe we got out of lab, like the one right by the Azaro fight, I believe that was dual elements. So like fire and lightning, cold and lightning. So we could just slap cold and lightning on a couple of things here. Hopefully whenever we get new gloves. Let's check for some better glove base here. Nothing super interesting. No regret orbs. Okay. So now we gotta go do the other side. And again, we're still kind of looking out for a better... I don't really want to use my alteration orbs on this, but we're looking for a sacred tier life flask that doesn't have a suffix. It can have a prefix, but we want one that doesn't have a suffix. So I'd like to just find another sacred flask while we're going through the zone. You can talk to her, by the way, and she'll actually take the first gem from you if you want the inventory space back while you do the second one. Or you can just come back and give her both at the same time. It's up to you. This is a really straightforward and kind of boring zone, unfortunately. There's a few of these, I don't know what you'd call them, little traps where they summon waves of enemies and they don't let you leave. I think there's a way to skip these. I think the racers, like, figured out a way to creep along the wall there and like not trigger the thing that shuts the doors, but there's another sacred. Can I get... Apparently not. Let's try like 1 or 2. There. Okay. So we got an ample. That's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know exactly how that skip works, honestly. Another rare amulet. Mana and all res. And an open prefix. This has lightning res on it, unfortunately, which is my lowest. It's pretty handy. I don't know if I want to wear it just yet. We'll hold on to that. That's something I'd probably at least want to have around when I'm... Like, even when I was starting maps, that might be useful. So we're starting to see more of these bleeding enemies in this. They're trying to prepare you for the last zone. This is recovered life from mana. I don't really like that mod. We technically don't need 2 of those, so let's do that. And then we'll put the other one there. As you can see, the layout for this place is really annoying sometimes. But we're looking for what's basically the third big trap room, but instead of trapping you with like a bunch of randoms, it traps you with a named enemy. Probably... No, it's down there. Should be right here. We got a boss that spins, but does not win. And then once you kill everything, he opens the gate and we can go to the second area. The second area is like a series of connected gladiator arenas. Also one of the zones where I sometimes get lost in the layout a little bit. This one doesn't look like it has a turn. Sometimes there's like 2 options at the start. Like most of the zones though, it's usually still the same theory of going in the opposite direction of the way you came in. Hey, 4-link gaunts. They are pure armor. Pretty soon I'm gonna need red, red, blue, blue, but that's probably gonna be easier to do on the circlet I'm wearing. This is the mini boss before the actual boss. They don't have very much life. I don't know why. They've always been that way. Oh, that's really good. Wow. I'll take that for sure. Fire, cold, life, mana regen, and lightning. Question is, which one am I replacing here? Fire, cold, fire, lightning? Probably this one, right? Despite the fact that it's got so much life. Let me see. 17 versus 1633. I mean, I like the amount of life, but I like the resist a lot better. Because we can put, if we put fire res on this, we'll be like completely ready for just moving on straight into the next half of the story. Even after the resist penalty. We're a little bit light on life compared to where I like to be. But, you know, it'd be like that sometimes. After the mini-boss, we're going to have to fight the Reso. You can, as usual, drop Portal if you're worried. But this is a pretty easy fight. Every 25% of his health, he will drop down to 1 knee. Not too much you need to worry about in this fight. The typical run around in circles and drop totems and stuff is going to work. Just watch the swords. These little swords occasionally spawn. They don't really make much of a noise when they spawn. They do quite a bit of damage if you stand on them. We'll take that just for the shards, eh? So we're about to make another alchemy. This might give us enough for that very thing. Which it did not, naturally. Let's move one stash tab up to the front so I have something to dump this crap into in case I need it later. We'll keep all of our currency though. Now, which is our ample? This we want to go make into our flask. Hold on to that in case we want to make a wand. That's just a good item. I don't need that. Okay. Let's go make the flask before I forget anything. Come over to the blood altar. Now I do have, because this is standard, I do have a lot of beasts, and I need to be careful about what beasts I use here. But we did do at least one Einhar mission on the way, so we definitely have enough, because it's just 4 of any rares. And we hit an Einhar mission on the way to this town. So we want Upstaunching, but we want to make sure... Yeah, so this level 83 guy, let's not use him. 28 should be fine. let's not fight an 83 and ruin everything. Hey, come out of there. Hello? It's weird, the boss is not actually spawned, I guess? I guess we'll have to log out. I don't know what just happened. That's the first for me. Let's go see what's going on. So that didn't work apparently. Level 30 is okay. Level 83 is not. Level 20 is okay. Hey, that worked. Cool, that's all I wanted. That was weird. I'll have to watch the recording again to see which beast, in case it was like a beast specific thing. Anyway, now that we've got our bleeding flask, I feel a lot better about going into fight Malachi. I'm definitely a little bit light on life compared to where I'd like to be, or where I normally am, but again, you can't always get what you want. We do have our bleed flask, although we don't have any charges for it. There we go. Now the real boss of this zone is actually Piety, because while Malachi is a little bit dangerous, Piety is the one that will absolutely shred you if you are asleep at the wheel. And you fight her first. All we're doing is continuing our tradition of going vaguely in the opposite direction of the way we came in, which looks like it's to the east, so we're going to the west, and there is our zone. Kind of looks like we're vaguely in the northeast, so probably going this way. Now, I definitely would have liked to have had enough luck to make the third tier of crafted one. So if we get a couple more alk shards, we're definitely going to do that. I would honestly drop a portal for her, because she might take your face off. You definitely don't want to be in melee range with her, for the most part. She does have some ranged attacks she'll try to get you with. Let her do those. And stay out of the way of this rotating beam. It's her melee attack that can really mess you up. Kill her, talk to her, she opens the way. There's a crafting recipe here that I don't recall which one it is. Make sure to grab it before you jump into the harvest. And we're in the final stretch for Act 4. It's a level 40 zone, we're level 39, so we're roughly on the right pace. Come up here and get the waypoint. We don't really need to talk to her. Now on one side is one of the 3 bosses. you know, not Malachi. Like Chevron and Doedre. Malagara was the third one. But these guys are all pretty easy. He likes to walk away from you, so you probably have to drop your totems a second time. Now, I'm pretty sure there's usually 2 on the left and then 1 on the right. Yeah, here's our second. And then we go to the other side and we'll get Doedre. Now, Doedre is the most dangerous of the 3 because these rings are curse effects. And so if you stand in the middle of this arena, you can get hit by more than one of them. The temporal chains one's probably the most annoying. Then once you've got it, just jump back. Piety, and we'll go kill Malachi. Malachi, it might surprise you to learn, is a boss where you drop your totems and then run in a circle. Actually, that probably won't surprise you at all. But the trick is that there's a second boss in Piety. Also, don't be standing around on top of him a lot. He does that big AoE attack. He also puts these red circles in the ground that normally are pretty dangerous because if you walk on top of them, they explode and they bust your face open. But you can force them to pop just by putting a totem on them. So there's not like a big risk to you as long as you pay attention to where you walk. And once she dies a second time, he will go over there and put her down for good. See these red circles? You don't want to step on these. You can just put your totem and they'll pop. That way they can't hurt you. So she has a unfortunate incident. We're going to leave her to die. And it's pretty much the same fight in round 2, but we have these heart mechanics. So after a while he will turn one of these things on. And if he has a shield on forever until you kill the heart that is giving it to him. So we'll fight him again for a while. Kill the heart that he activated. Don't forget about your flammability curse. It adds quite a lot of damage alongside your wave of conviction. Pop the heart. Don't step on the red things. And he popped. So once he's dead, jump back into town, and now we're at the point where we can really think about going a full totem build. Because the reward for this quest is multiple totem support, which is exactly what we need to justify that. There's also a reward for like, this was like earlier in the act. I didn't mention it because the reward is golems, and I gotta be honest, if you've ever read my forum thread, you know I hate golems. I don't like using them. If you really want a golem, feel free. I usually take it and I throw it on the ground where it belongs. Multiple totems, on the other hand, we need. Now we do need to get our sockets sorted out because this is gonna have to be a red, red, blue, blue. Now, this might be tricky with 14 chromes. Yeah. It might be better to try and do that on the ringmail coat, actually. Yeah. So, here's what we'll do. We need to go back to Act 1. And we're going to buy Spell Totem. Oh, what? I don't know what that was. So we're going to go back here. We're going to buy Spell Totem, which is 1 Orb of Transmute. Apparently I don't have one of those. Look, I'm totally going to cheat. Just pretend that I had an Orb of Transmute, sorry. Get rid of that Barb Club while we're at it. Like, look, here, we'll make it fair. We'll buy an Orb of Transmute for 7 Portal Scrolls. So we need to put Spell Totem and multiple totems, and then we need Wave of Conviction and Combustion. This is our Wave of Conviction 4-link now. And so we'll move our Holy Flame Totem, Infused Channeling, Elemental Focus, and Controlled Destruction into our helmet. And that helmet is perfectly good for the rest of the game. Now you notice that we lost our Arcane Surge, so we're going to have to get that back. Typically, I would want to do that on a triple blue. I'm pretty annoyed that I haven't finished that Alchemy Shard stack. But we might be able to hit it here. We did. Right. So Flammability, Arcane Surge, and Spell Cascade, which is plenty. And the way we're going to set up our hotkeys now, because what we're going to do here is we're going to pull 1 point out of Intelligence to get Ancestral Bond. So this is going to be our Holy Flame Totem because it's now our primary damage. This will be our Flammability because we want to trigger Arcane Surge a lot. Flame Wall is actually going to go on A, and Wave of Conviction is going to go on D. We're at the point where we're going to need Flame Wall a lot less, and you could, if you are having an issue with finding socket space, go ahead and drop Flame Wall altogether. It's still good, and it's still definitely a damage increase, but it's just less important because we're getting to that part of the game where we're going to be pretty OP. Now we're going to actually go until we get to the next town, which is just sort of how I've been doing these videos. Which means we got to do the Ascent too really quick. Now we don't have multiple totems for our main totem. Or we're not going to for the rest of the story. But it's really not that big of a deal. For the most part, while you're clearing, you can do 1-2, right? You can do 1 Holy Flame and then summon 1 pair of Wave of Conviction totems. Or you can just kind of like stagger your Holy Flames, and if you come across a rare or something, then drop your Wave of Conviction totems. I typically feel like the 1-2 pattern feels a little bit smoother. But whatever feels more comfortable for you, really. There is a crafting recipe right here at this little camp. There's an essence down here too, isn't there? I definitely want this. So we should probably mention, I go over this in the guide, but the reason we want the multiple totems, right, is that it gives +2 to maximum number of summoned totems, but only for the supported skills. So whatever totem you have this linked to gets +2 to maximum totems. So if I'm just dropping Holy Flame Totem, I have a maximum of 3. Because that's 1 from my Hierophant class, Pursuit of Faith, and then 1 from Ancestral Bond now that we've taken that, right? But that means my Wave of Conviction has a maximum of 5. So I can always have my 3 Holy Flame Totems, and I can still put down these bonus Wave of Conviction totems. And so there's two advantages to that. One, I just get 2 more totems, right? They're basically free. But I could, in theory, self-cast it, right? However, we're going to get bonuses to totem damage. We're also, eventually, once we get to our second set here, we're going to get bonuses into damage and life and mana regen per totem we have out. And so it benefits us quite a bit to have 2 extra totems on the field. It also just allows us to go Ancestral Bond earlier and get an entire extra totem. So we'll go back into the intelligence that we pulled out of there. And then we portal in like the Terminator, and this guy happens to see it, and it seems really confident that he's going to kill us. But I'm not sure this guy has ever played Path of Exile, because that guy gets clowned on pretty hard. This can definitely be kind of a strange layout too, if you're not used to this place. I will say, this point, when you switch to Ancestral Bond and you have your flammability triggering your Arcane Surge, this is the point where you can start to level your Arcane Surge gem if you want, as long as you're careful about it. You don't have to. You can worry about it more when you get to maps if you want. It's not a big deal. But it's definitely fine to start leveling it now. I don't want that. But as you can see, things have gotten like a lot more accelerated, I guess, as soon as we got multiple totems, right? And it's only going to get much worse from here. Well, worse as in better for us, but like worse for the game, right? Like, we're going to have no problems from here on out. That guy just gets cooked. And this, the Overseer's Tower, will put us into Act 5. And things are going pretty swimmingly at this point. We have plenty of resistances. We can slap fire res on... What did we say we were going to put it on? This ring, I think. And that was going to take care of all of our resist problems. We can start looking for things like new gloves. Especially now that I have a couple of essences on me. One of them cold res, one of them... minions. This is pretty worthless. I might throw this on a wand just to see if we find an upgrade on a wand. Or we could put it on this ruby ring and craft this into the tier 3. Maybe we should do that right now. Take the gems out of it. Take our reward. I'd probably take fire lightning. It's not super important. Doesn't have any amazing gloves, which is fine. Let's make sure we don't see a better wand target. We actually need the 3 links on this right now. It's not terrible, actually. Anyway, this wand upgrade is actually way overdue. It's only going to be 7 more flat damage, but it is an upgrade, even with the cast speed, I'm pretty sure. So we can always just craft cast speed back onto it if we want. Cold res we'll save for our next, like maybe a glove potential upgrade or something. But anyway, that's going to do it for Act 4. at this point, yeah, I think we're pretty much going to be cruising. We'll see if any other road bumps present themselves. But I have a feeling that the rest of this video series is going to be a lot of face-rolling story content and showing how easy it is to level totems. So I will see you in the Act 5 video. Peace.